I struggled with gesture drawing for years, but now I can draw them in seconds. Here's how, step by step. Step 1, which many think it needs to be the head, but I start from the actual most important part of the body, and this made everything so much easier. Because every single time I started from the head, I had a really hard time placing all the rest of the body. And this workflow solves that by tackling the core mass of the body first, before everything else. Think about it, the head is just one end of the line of action. It's not really important where this line starts. What's really important is what happens in the middle, the part that will dictate the orientation, the balance, and the exaggeration of the pose, the torso. For this, I always use the same set of lines in the same order. The first one is the line of the shoulders, to establish the overall direction of both the head and the torso. And this makes it very easy to start exaggerating the pose. All I have to do is to increase the inclination of this line compared to the reference. This is one of the keys of the contrapposto principle we will see later. I also like to make it curve a bit, following the anatomy and the shoulders. After that, I go immediately to the stretching side of the torso, to close off one side and start setting up the line of action I want. I do it with just one long line that goes all the way from the line of the shoulders down to the pelvis. Okay, so we did the stretch. Now we need to do the pinch on the other side. And I do it very simply with a couple of shorter lines. In particular, I like to indicate the ribcage with a slight C shape and continue the flow by adding a shorter C in the other direction. This is what I mean when I talk about contrast in the torso. I always want one side stretching and the other pinching, to create a more dynamic pose. Another tip here is to avoid symmetrical lines as much as you can. Symmetrical lines are lines that start and end at the same level. Just try to offset these C shapes. This will give you what's called the rhythm. And talking about rhythm, I like to complete the torso with an indication of the pelvis. Another C shape going in the opposite direction, catching both the long line of the stretch and the second shorter line of the pinch. This keeps the momentum alive down the figure. But we haven't finished with this part yet, because all this looks very flat, so we need to give an indication of the perspective. To do this, I add a wrapping line for the upper torso, right where I imagine the ribcage to end. At this stage, I just try to eyeball everything really. And I also add two wrapping lines, opposing the first one, where I imagine the pelvis to start and end. This helps me a lot in starting to figure out the structure of the body. And it also gives me that nice contrapposto to give the right contrast to the figure. The contrapposto is a great principle that says that the line of the shoulders and the line of the pelvis should be at opposing angles to have more dynamic poses. So this is the first step, the torso. Now we have the main mass of the body in place, and everything branches off of this. Step 2 is all about addressing the second most important part of the body, essential to draw a nice gesture that tells the whole story. By the way, if you need help finding your gesture workflow, join my free Discord community of artists that are focused on studying figure drawing. The link is in the description below. When drawing a figure, I've always had the bad habit of leaving the legs for last, after the head, the arms, and basically everything else, because I just wasn't aware of their importance. They are what makes the figure stand, move, and they tell a big chunk of the story. But even if they are so important, I draw them in a very simple way now. I used to overcomplicate them a lot. I just use 2 to 3 lines depending on the position. In a side view for the upper leg, I try to continue the line of the pelvis, following the quad muscle, the thigh. This keeps the momentum going and makes the transition between these two areas seamless. For the lower leg, I like to catch this rhythm with another curve going in the other direction and mimicking the calf. Important note, don't leave out the feet. For a foot seen from the side, I like to continue the line of the lower leg and close it off with a straight line, creating this sort of triangle. I think it sells the idea of a foot, and it's also the simplest way I found to draw it. Instead, for a leg seen more from the front, I always like to follow the muscle of the upper leg, but I also like to draw the inner edge of the knee to catch this rhythm and continue it down with another curve in the lower leg. For the foot, I like to simply counter again the rhythm of the lower leg, so you will have this constant flow from the top to the bottom. This is the second important step. These few simple lines will tell you the whole story about the weight and the balance of the figure. Now we have the core of the figure in place. It's time to move on to the other parts that irradiate from the upper torso. I always gave priority to this next part for some reason, but I realized that it can be safely left for later. Actually, drawing them too early made them disproportionate. I'm talking about the arms. For this, I always like to start from the shoulder. I try to catch whatever rhythm I see on the torso and draw a simple curve to indicate the deltoid, and that originates the rhythm of the arm. I only use one line for the upper and one line for the lower arm, and it is particularly important here to avoid symmetry. For the hand, I add a simple curve indicating the arc of the knuckles or the tip of the fingers, always paying attention to the rhythm. Something to notice here is that I try to mimic the anatomy of the arm. The upper arm will point out, away from the body, the lower arm more inwards, towards the body. And this made it so much easier to draw anatomy on top of my gesture. With this third step, we have all the limbs in their place. 90% of the body is there. Now we are just missing that part that I used to start with, but I leave it for last now. I'm talking about the head, of course. Actually, not just the head, but also the neck. For that, I just use a simple C-shaped line, starting from the upper torso and going away from it, depending on the head position I want. For the head itself, I contain this rhythm by adding a single curve that mimics the outer edge of a Lumi's head, with just the cranium and the jaw. I then complete it with a single wrapping line indicating the eye line. I leave the head for last because it can change greatly the story of a pose, and with just a small tweak, I can communicate something completely different. This workflow is the result of many hours of trial and error, many lessons put together to find what I like. All this to say, find your way of doing gesture, because finding your workflow that you can repeat every single time will make you way faster. So read books, watch tutorials like this one, that will show you the workflow that changed everything for me. And I will see you on my next step.